Welcome back to The Quiet Drift. If you enjoy Willow's story, don't forget to subscribe to The Quiet Drift. You'll get a notification whenever a new episode is released.
June 3rd, 2026.
The late afternoon sun, a low, burnished point in the sky, begins its slow descent toward the western ridge of the forest. Its light, no longer harsh or direct, stretches and softens, painting the world in hues of amber and gold. You watch from the narrow cockpit of the Myra as the surface of the cove transforms into a shifting tapestry of liquid light, each small ripple catching the sun's gleam and scattering it into 1,000 momentary diamonds. The water, usually a deep, cool jade in the shadows of the headland, now shimmers with an inner warmth, reflecting the sky's vast, gentle expanse. A lazy breath of air, carrying the unmistakable scent of salt and the damp, earthy fragrance of old-growth pines, drifts across the deck. It is a scent that has become as familiar and comforting as the rhythm of the tides, a blend of wildness and peace that settles deep into your bones. You feel the subtle, gentle sway of the Myra beneath you, a soft cradle rocking on the water's surface, a motion so ingrained in your days that you scarcely notice it until a moment of stillness brings it into soft focus. The light spills over the weathered teak of the foredeck, illuminating the fine silvered grain of the wood, each groove and imperfection a testament to years of sun and sea. It finds Chester, curled in a tight, orange ball on a sun-warmed patch near the bowsprit. His fur, a rich tapestry of red gold, seems to absorb the light, glowing with an inner fire. A faint twitch of an ear, a slow, deliberate blink of his eyes, tells you he is not fully asleep, merely lost in the profound contentment that only a cat in a patch of sun can truly know. His breathing is a soft, rhythmic puff, a tiny engine of peace in the quiet afternoon. Beyond the gentle curve of the cove, where the water opens through the narrow channel toward the vast, unbroken horizon of the Pacific, a cormorant perches on a cluster of dark, barnacled rocks. Its silhouette is stark and angular against the softening brilliance of the sky, a still sentinel surveying its domain. Occasionally, it stretches its long neck or shifts its weight, a small, dark punctuation mark in the expansive quiet. Its presence is a familiar comfort, a quiet reminder of the wild, untamed beauty that surrounds this sheltered haven. The rigging above you, the intricate web of lines and stays, begins to whisper in the faint breeze. It is a sound both delicate and enduring, a quiet melody composed of the wind and the tautness of the ropes, a creak and a sigh that speaks of the Myra's readiness, her silent yearning for the open water, even as she rests peacefully in the embrace of the cove. This particular sound, the voice of the boat itself, has become a lullaby to your waking hours, a constant, gentle hum that weaves itself into the fabric of your days. You lean back against the warm, smooth wood of the cockpit combing, feeling the lingering warmth of the sun on your face and arms. The air is cool and soft against your skin, a pleasant counterpoint to the sun's caress. Your gaze drifts upward, following the path of the light as it climbs the steep, forested slopes of the headland, turning the needles of the ancient firs into 1,000 tiny emeralds. The shadows, long and deep, begin to stretch across the forest floor, creating a sense of deepening mystery and quietude beneath the towering canopy. It is in these moments, as the day prepares its slow, graceful bow, that the world seems to shed its complexities and reveal its simplest, most profound truths. The passage of light, the breath of the wind, the unwavering rhythm of the water, these are the constants, the gentle anchors in a life lived in harmony with the natural world. There is a deep, abiding sense of gratitude that rises within you, a quiet acknowledgement of the peace that has settled into this place, into your life here. The memory of the light on the island, a fleeting flicker in the twilight of recent evenings, surfaces gently in your thoughts. It was a soft, almost ethereal glow, appearing and disappearing with an elusive grace that left you with a quiet, persistent curiosity. You recall Walter's steady gaze, his knowing silence, the way he often spoke in fragments, leaving much unsaid, yet conveying a depth of understanding that was both reassuring and intriguing. You wonder if he has seen it too, if the island holds secrets he has long known, secrets that are simply part of the fabric of this ancient place. This quiet question, however, does not disturb the tranquility of the moment. Instead, it weaves itself into the tapestry of your thoughts, a soft thread of contemplation that enriches the stillness. It is not an urgent query, but a gentle nudge, a quiet invitation to ponder, to observe, to simply be present with the unfolding mysteries of this world. There is no rush to seek answers, only a soft willingness to let them emerge in their own time, like the first stars appearing in the deepening sky. The golden light continues its slow, unhurried journey, painting the undersides of the small clouds with touches of apricot and rose. The air grows cooler, carrying with it a fresher, crisper edge. Chester stirs, uncurling himself with a languid stretch, extending his front paws with claws sheathed, a picture of feline grace. He yawns, a wide, pink cavern, then looks at you with half-closed, luminous eyes, as if sharing a secret understanding of the day's beauty. You reach out a hand and he comes, rubbing his head against your fingers, purring a deep, resonant rumble that vibrates through your palm. It is a sound of pure contentment, a small, warm engine of affection that fills the quiet space between you. His presence is a constant, gentle comfort, a silent companion in the unfolding story of your days. He settles onto your lap, a heavy, warm weight, and begins a slow, rhythmic kneading of your trousers, his purr deepening to a steady thrum. The sun dips lower, touching the very edge of the ridge, casting long, dramatic shadows across the water. The golden light intensifies for a few fleeting moments, a final, brilliant flourish before it slips behind the trees. The air immediately takes on a cooler, more profound stillness, a transition from day to dusk that feels both sacred and inevitable. The scent of pine deepens, mingling with the slightly briny aroma of the low tide beginning its slow retreat. You close your eyes for a moment, simply absorbing the sounds and sensations, the soft rush of the water against the hull, the distant cry of a gull circling high above, the gentle thrum of Chester's purr against your chest. There is a deep, nourishing silence here, a quietude that wraps around you like a warm blanket, inviting a profound sense of peace. It is a silence that is not empty, but full of the whispers of the wind, the ancient voices of the forest, the rhythmic breath of the sea. When you open your eyes, the world has subtly shifted. The most intense gold has faded, replaced by softer hues of lavender and rose in the sky. The cormorant on the rocks is still there, a steadfast silhouette. The forest, once bathed in light, now retreats into deeper, softer greens and blues, preparing for the cloak of night. The light on the water is dimmer, less brilliant, but still holds a pearlescent glow, reflecting the gentle colors of the twilight sky. You think again of Walter and the quiet knowing in his eyes. There is a sense that the island, with its ancient trees and its hidden nooks, holds more than just the echoes of the wind. Perhaps the light you saw was a fleeting glimpse into a history that predates your arrival, a story that continues to unfold in the quiet corners of this cove. You feel a gentle pull of curiosity, a desire to understand more, not with urgency, but with a patient, unfolding wonder. Tomorrow, perhaps, you will walk the path up to his cottage, carry him a small jar of the wild berry jam you made yesterday, and see what quiet words might emerge from his calm demeanor. The thought of his familiar, kind face brings a warmth to your heart. For now, the fading light holds you captive in its gentle embrace. The sounds of the day begin to recede, replaced by the softer, more subtle harmonies of evening. The distant hoot of an owl, the rustle of leaves in the forest, the constant, gentle lap of water against the Myra's hull, these become the dominant notes in the symphony of dusk. Chester shifts, settling deeper into your lap, his purr a steady, unwavering rhythm. You feel the weight of his small, warm body, a comforting anchor in the gathering twilight. The air is now distinctly cool, carrying with it the crispness of approaching night. You pull a soft wool blanket, which had been folded neatly on the seat beside you, over your lap and Chester, sharing its warmth. The quietness deepens and the first few stars, faint pinpricks of light, begin to emerge in the darkening canvas above the tree line. They are shy at first, but with each passing moment, more appear, until the sky is beginning to sparkle with their ancient, unwavering glow. The rhythmic sway of the Myra, the soft purr of the cat, the gentle sounds of the cove settling into night, all combine to create a profound sense of peace. You lean your head back, watching the stars bloom in the twilight, feeling held and cradled by the world around you. The unanswered question of the light on the island, far from being a source of unease, becomes a soft, luminous thread, weaving itself into the quiet wonder of the evening. It is a mystery to be savored, not solved, a gentle invitation to simply observe and to be present with the unfolding magic of this remote, beautiful place. You breathe in the cool, clean air, letting the day's last light fade, and feeling a deep, quiet contentment settle over you, ready for whatever tomorrow may bring. The late afternoon light, softened by a high veil of cloud, paints the interior of the Myra in shades of honey and rose. It filters through the small brass portholes, catching dust motes dancing in the still air above the narrow galley. You feel the gentle sway of the boat at its mooring, a rhythmic, almost imperceptible rock that has become as natural as your own breathing. The air is still, carrying only the faintest whisper of the sea and the distant, lazy call of a gull. You find yourself drawn to the small, familiar tasks that fill your days, the quiet rituals that anchor you to this place. Your hands reach for the worn canvas sail bag tucked beneath the forward bunk, pulling out a length of line that needs attention. It's a hawser used for anchoring, and a few strands near the splice have begun to fray, whispering of future weakness if left untended. You settle onto the small, cushioned bench beside the folding table, the faint scent of old salt and hemp rising from the rope as you unfurl it across your lap. Your fingers, accustomed to the feel of natural fibers, begin to work with a quiet precision. You find a marlinspike, smooth and cool to the touch, in the small canvas tool roll you keep nearby. The spike helps to separate the twisted strands, allowing you to relay them, tucking the loose ends back into the body of the rope. It's a slow, methodical process, requiring patience and a steady hand. You watch the way the light catches the individual fibers, the subtle variations in their golden brown color. Each tuck is a small victory, a repair that strengthens the whole, a silent conversation between your hands and the material. As you work, the sounds of the boat settle around you, the almost inaudible creak of the hull against the dock fenders, a soft, rhythmic asterisk thump-thump asterisk that speaks of wood and water. The distant, almost musical asterisk clink asterisk of the rigging against the mast as a faint breath of air stirs the halyards. These are the voices of the Myra, familiar and comforting, a lullaby woven into the fabric of your quiet life. Chester, who had been curled in a patch of sunlight on the foredeck, stretches languidly, a long, slow arch of his back, before hopping down and sauntering into the cabin. He eyes your busy hands for a moment, his tail twitching almost imperceptibly, then leaps onto the opposing bench. He settles himself with a soft sigh, watching your movements with half-closed, golden eyes, a furry, warm presence that asks nothing and gives much. His quiet purr, a soft rumble, begins to vibrate through the air, a small, contented engine in the heart of the boat. You finish the hawser, running your hand along the repaired section. It feels strong, smooth once more, ready for whatever the sea might ask of it. You coil it neatly, the loop falling over loop in a satisfying spiral, before returning it to its canvas bag. Next, your attention drifts to the small cast-iron wood stove. The afternoon has taken on a slight coolness, a subtle shift in the air that hints at the coming evening. You open the small firebox door, the brass catch cool beneath your fingers, and peer inside. A few embers still glow faintly amidst the ash, testament to the morning's fire. You reach for the small bundle of kindling, and a few pieces of neatly split cedar you keep in a basket beside the stove. With gentle hands, you arrange the kindling, a delicate pyramid of thin strips, then place a couple of the cedar pieces on top. The wood smells faintly resinous, clean and earthy. You take up the long brass match holder, drawing out a wooden match. The scratch of it against the striker is surprisingly loud in the quiet cabin, a sharp, momentary punctuation. The flame blossoms, a tiny, vibrant spear of orange and blue, casting dancing shadows on the varnished teak walls. You hold it to the kindling, watching as the dry wood catches, a small tendril of smoke curling upward before the flames take hold, licking greedily at the cedar. The warmth begins to spread almost immediately, a subtle, radiating heat that counters the day's gentle cooling. The small stove begins to hum, a soft, contented murmur as the fire grows, its red-orange glow visible through the mica window in the door. The familiar scent of wood smoke, clean and comforting, begins to permeate the air, blending with the lingering salt and the faint, sweet smell of the lavender from the dock. You rise and step out onto the small deck. The cove is utterly still. The water, a deep, placid green, perfectly reflects the towering, dark green firs that ring the shoreline. A single, small ripple spreads from the bow of the Myra, where a fish must have broken the surface, disturbing the perfect mirror. Even the distant channel, opening to the wider sea, seems to hold its breath. On the dock, the two clay pots stand sentinel. The lavender, a soft haze of purple, releases its calming fragrance as you lean close. The rosemary, its needles dark and aromatic, seems to vibrate with a quiet energy. You fetch the small copper watering can from its hook beside the companionway, the metal cool against your fingers. The water pours out in a gentle stream, soaking into the dry earth of the pots. You watch as the water darkens the clay, seeping in, a small act of nurture in a world that asks for little. As you replace the watering can, your gaze falls upon the Myra's hull, just above the waterline. You have seen it 1,000 times, the smooth curve of the aged wood, the way the paint, a deep forest green, has faded and weathered over the years. But today something catches your eye. Near the bow, just below the anchor hawse, you notice a faint, almost invisible etching. It's not part of the boat's natural grain, nor is it a scuff from a fender. It's a series of lines, very fine, barely visible beneath the layers of paint and varnish. You lean closer, tilting your head, trying to catch the light at just the right angle. It looks like letters, etched with something sharp, perhaps a knife or a nail, long ago. The salt air and the passage of time have softened the edges, filled the grooves with minute particles, making them blend almost seamlessly with the surrounding wood. You run a fingertip over the spot, feeling the barely perceptible indentation. It's a word or perhaps a name. You can make out a faint E and a L, followed by what might be an I or an L again. The rest is too obscure, too weathered to decipher with certainty. You've never noticed it before. Or perhaps you have subconsciously, and today your mind simply registers it, pulling it from the background of familiar details into sharp focus. It's a quiet mark, a secret whispered by the old wood. Who carved it, and when? Was it the boat's previous owner, or someone before them? Another name, perhaps, for a boat that once sailed these waters under a different identity, before she became the Myra. The thought settles softly in your mind, not as a puzzle to be solved with urgency, but as a gentle curiosity, a thread woven into the tapestry of the boat's long life. It speaks of other hands, other stories, other journeys that touched this vessel before she carried you to this quiet cove. It's a quiet echo of the past, a silent question carved into the very skin of your home. You stand there for a moment longer, your fingers still resting lightly on the faint etching, the air still, the only sound the faint purr of Chester from inside the cabin, and the distant, rhythmic murmur of the surf beyond the channel. The light is beginning its slow descent, painting the western sky in hues of soft peach and lavender. The world around you feels vast and ancient, holding countless unseen stories within its silent depths. The small mark on the hull is just one of them, a quiet testament to the passage of time and the lives that have intersected with this wooden vessel. You wonder what Walter, with his deep knowledge of this land and its past, might know of such things. Perhaps he would recognize the hand, or the name, or simply offer a knowing smile that spoke of shared understanding. You decide you will ask him tomorrow, should the opportunity arise, about the fainter marks on the hull of the Myra and the stories they might hold. For now, it is enough to simply notice, to feel the quiet presence of the past, and to be here in this moment, in this peaceful cove. You watch as the day begins its gentle surrender, a slow, deliberate performance painted across the sky and the water of the cove. The sun, a heavy orb of molten gold, hovers just above the distant horizon line, visible through the narrow opening where the cove meets the vast, murmuring sea. Its light, no longer harsh or direct, washes over everything with a soft, forgiving glow. The tips of the tallest firs on the headland are lit as if by an inner fire, each needle catching the light, transforming the dark green into a vibrant, almost ethereal, emerald. You find yourself drawn to the bow of the Myra, stepping out onto the foredeck, the cool wood familiar beneath your bare feet. A slight breeze, carrying the clean, sharp scent of salt and damp earth, brushes against your face, a whisper of the air's changing temperature. The water in the cove, which had been a lively, sparkling blue throughout the afternoon, now begins to reflect the sky's deepening palette. Near the dock, where the water is shallower and clearer, you can see the smooth, round stones on the seabed, softened by the golden light, appearing warm and inviting. The sun dips a fraction of an inch more, and the gold in the sky begins to bleed into a tender orange. It spreads from the horizon, upward and outward, painting the underbellies of the few wispy clouds that linger above. These clouds, which had been almost invisible against the bright midday sky, now ignite with a quiet, smoldering intensity. The air itself seems to thicken with color, as if you could reach out and cup a handful of the warm light. A lone gull, a stark silhouette against the fiery backdrop, glides effortlessly on an unseen current of air, its calls echoing softly, carried across the water. The Myra's hull, normally a deep, unassuming blue, catches the orange light, and for a fleeting moment, it seems to glow with an inner warmth. The varnished teak of the cabin sides gleams, each grain highlighted, each curve and angle softened by the descending light. You lean against the rigging, the cool metal a pleasant contrast to the warmth that still clings to the air. Your gaze drifts to the small island that sits like a sentinel at the mouth of the cove. Its forested slopes, which had been a uniform dark green, now show subtle shifts, patches of deeper shadow contrasting with areas still touched by the fading light, giving it a surprising depth. As the sun continues its measured descent, the orange deepens, taking on richer, more profound hues. It is no longer a bright, enthusiastic color, but one imbued with a quiet contemplation. The clouds above are now a tapestry of russet and amber, their edges fringed with a fiery glow that seems to pulsate gently. The reflections on the water intensify, mirroring the sky's spectacle with an almost perfect fidelity. Each ripple and wave becomes a liquid brushstroke of color, dissolving and reforming with a mesmerizing grace. The air grows cooler still, a subtle shift that makes the warmth of the day feel like a lingering memory. You pull your shawl a little tighter around your shoulders, appreciating its soft wool against your skin. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the orange begins to yield to pink. A delicate, rose-petal blush emerges at the edges of the fiery display, then spreads inward, softening the more intense colors. It is a gentle transition, like a sigh. The pink deepens, becoming richer, almost a fuchsia in places, especially along the lowest band of clouds. The sea, which moments before had been a canvas for molten gold and orange, now transforms into a vast sheet of rose and lavender, reflecting the sky's tender embrace. The distant tree line, once a sharp edge against the brightness, now softens into a hazy, dreamlike silhouette, its details blurring as the light recedes. You notice a profound stillness settling over the cove. The small sounds of the day, the distant cry of an eagle, the gentle lapping of water against the hull seem to recede, as if holding their breath. Even Chester, who had been curled in a patch of fading sunlight on the foredeck, seems to sense the shift, lifting his head to watch the sky with his usual unreadable gaze before settling back down, his eyes half closed. The air, now distinctly cool, carries the heavier, more concentrated scent of the forest-floor damp earth, pine needles, and the rich, humusy aroma of decaying leaves. It is a grounding scent, bringing you firmly into the present moment. The pink deepens further, becoming a rich, almost regal magenta in the deepest parts of the sky, before beginning its own slow fade. The most vibrant colors are now concentrated closer to the horizon, a final, brilliant flourish before the light truly gives way. Higher above, the blue begins to assert itself, a soft, ethereal blue that deepens minute by minute. It is not the bright, assertive blue of midday, but a profound, almost velvet blue, hinting at the vastness beyond. The first stars, faint and hesitant, begin to prick through this deepening blue, tiny pinpricks of light in the emerging velvet. You find yourself searching for them, a quiet game of discovery as the light diminishes. The colors on the horizon continue to soften, dissolving into a hazy blend of lavender and palest rose. The brilliance is gone, replaced by a gentle luminescence that seems to emanate from within the sky itself. The water in the cove no longer reflects intense color, but rather the muted, deepening shades above, a canvas of steel blue and dusky gray. The surface of the water, so active and reflective during the day, now seems to absorb the light, becoming a still, dark mirror. The rhythmic sound of water against the hull of the Myra, a constant companion, seems amplified in the quietening air, a soft, hypnotic lullaby. You remain on the foredeck, feeling the cool air on your skin, the subtle swaying of the boat beneath your feet. The transition from day to night is never abrupt here, but always a gradual, lingering farewell. The last vestiges of pink fade entirely, leaving behind the deep, inky blue of dusk. It is a blue so profound it seems to hold secrets, a color that stretches endlessly upward, swallowing the last faint echoes of the day. The trees on the headland are now dark, silent sentinels, their forms indistinct against the darkening sky. The small island is a deeper, less defined shadow, its contours blurred by the encroaching night. The stars, once hesitant, now begin to emerge in greater numbers, sparkling with a crisp, cold light. They seem impossibly distant, yet intimately present, a reminder of the vast, intricate beauty that surrounds this small, sheltered cove. You lean your head back, watching them appear, one by one, a slow, silent unfolding of the night sky. The air continues to cool, carrying with it a tangible sense of peace. The distant sound of the surf at the channel's mouth, a constant, low murmur, seems to deepen as the other sounds of the world recede. You feel a quiet sense of gratitude for this moment, for the simple, profound beauty of the world here. It is a feeling that settles deep within you, a warmth against the encroaching chill of the evening. The air is still, save for the whisper of the breeze through the rigging and the gentle lapping of water. The oil lamps inside the Myra, which you lit earlier, cast a warm, inviting glow through the small port lights, a beacon of comfort in the deepening gloom. Full dark arrives not with a sudden switch, but with a final, quiet absorption of all remaining light. The horizon line, once so distinct, now merges seamlessly with the sky, an indistinguishable boundary. The cove is no longer a world of color and light, but a realm of shadows and whispers. The trees are black forms against the star-dusted sky, and the water is a deep, impenetrable expanse, reflecting the faint glimmer of the stars. The air is cool, fresh, and utterly still. You can feel the quiet weight of the night settling around you, a soft, enveloping presence. The light you saw on the island, the faint, flickering glow, seems even more intriguing now in the full dark. You wonder if it will appear again tonight, a small, unexplained mystery in the vast quiet. The thought does not disturb you, but rather adds a gentle layer of curiosity to the peaceful evening. You decide you will look for it again before turning in, a silent vigil against the night sky. The question of its origin and what Walter might know lingers gently in your mind, a quiet thread weaving through the stillness. The last sliver of sun dips below the western horizon, taking with it the lingering brilliance from the sky. The air cools, carrying with it the briny scent of the outgoing tide, mingled with the sweet, damp earthiness of the surrounding forest. A hush descends upon the cove, broken only by the gentle lapping of water against the hull of the Myra and the distant, mournful cry of a loon. You watch from the cockpit as the world around you softens, edges blurring into twilight, until the familiar shapes of the headland and the distant channel are swallowed by the encroaching darkness. Inside the cabin, a deeper shade of blue settles, making the shadows gather in the corners. You reach for the oil lamp hanging from its brass hook above the small folding table. With practiced hands, you lift the glass chimney, trim the wick, and strike a wooden match. A small flame flickers to life, then steadies, casting a warm, buttery glow across the cabin. The soft light instantly transforms the space, chasing away the encroaching gloom. The varnished teak bulkheads, which had seemed muted in the fading light, now gleam with an amber warmth, reflecting the lamp's glow in 1,000 tiny points. Copper pots hanging near the small propane galley catch the light, sending back soft, burnished reflections. The cast-iron wood stove, now cool, has a friendly, solid presence in the corner. Chester, who had been curled in a tight ball on the foredeck, uncoils himself with a languid stretch, his white cravat catching the lamplight as he steps gracefully down the companionway. He weaves around your legs, a low rumble of a purr vibrating through his body, before leaping onto the narrow sleeping berth in the bow. He settles into his accustomed spot at the foot of your berth, his orange fur a warm splash of color against the simple woolen blanket. His eyes, half closed, watch your movements with an air of quiet contentment. The cabin, small as it is, feels expansive in this soft light, each familiar object brought into gentle focus. You move through the space with an instinctive grace, every action deliberate and unhurried. The scent of kerosene from the lamp mingles with the subtle aroma of old wood and the faint, lingering spice of the herbs you used for dinner. You take a deep breath, letting the quiet peace of the moment settle over you. Your hands move to the small ceramic teapot, still warm from earlier. You pour yourself a cup of chamomile, the pale liquid steaming gently in the lamplight. The taste is soothing, carrying the day's last tensions away. You take a slice of the sourdough bread you baked this morning, still crusty on the outside, soft and yielding within. You spread a thin layer of homemade blackberry jam, the deep purple gleaming under the lamp. Each bite is simple, satisfying, a quiet communion with the bounty of this sheltered world. As you eat, your gaze drifts around the cabin, lingering on the details that make this space uniquely yours. The bookshelves built into the hull are filled with well-worn volumes, tales of other seas, poetry, natural histories of the coast. The ceramic dishes with their small blue flowers sit stacked neatly in their rack. Everything has its place, a testament to the efficient and thoughtful design of a life lived afloat. The gentle rocking of the Myra against her mooring becomes more pronounced now that the wind has died down, a slow, hypnotic sway that is as familiar as your own heartbeat. You can hear the soft creak of the lines, the murmur of water against the planks, a symphony of sounds that lulls and comforts. You finish your tea, set the cup down, and reach for a small canvas and your wooden box of watercolors. The urge to paint often comes upon you in these quiet evenings, a way to translate the day's impressions into color and form. Tonight, you feel drawn to capture the deepening blues and grays of twilight, the way the last light clings to the highest branches of the firs on the headland. You open the wooden box, the faint smell of pigments and beeswax rising to meet you. You arrange your brushes, select a clean piece of paper, and mix a wash of deep indigo, blending it with a touch of Payne's gray. The water held in a small ceramic bowl shimmers in the lamplight. As your brush touches the paper, the color blooms, soft and expansive, mirroring the sky outside your small porthole. Your mind, however, is not entirely on the painting. As you work, your gaze drifts to the narrow space beneath your berth in the bow. It's a storage area mostly. Sometimes, when you're cleaning, you shift the contents, rearranging old charts, spare lines, a canvas bag filled with tools. But there is one item there that you rarely touch, a rolled chart, secured with a piece of twine. You know it's there, have known it since you first brought the Myra into this cove 2 years ago. You remember the day you found it. You were settling in, stowing your meager belongings, and had pulled out a stack of old nautical charts from beneath the berth. This one was different. It wasn't rolled neatly like the others, but rather tucked away, almost hidden. When you unrolled it, you saw that it was a chart of this very coast, but an older one, faded and brittle with age. What had caught your eye, though, were the small pencil crosses scattered across it, concentrated around the islands offshore, and a few clustered near the entrance to this very cove. They weren't navigational markings. They were too small, too irregular, almost like a child's secret code. You had dismissed it then, thinking it was perhaps a previous owner's idle doodling. But over time, the memory of those crosses would resurface, a quiet curiosity. You'd never studied them closely, never tried to decipher them. Tonight, bathed in the soft, contemplative light of the lamp, the image of those crosses floats to the forefront of your mind. It's not just the chart. There's also the old tin, a small, oval-shaped container, intricately embossed with faded roses, hidden in the very back of a locker near the galley. You discovered it within weeks of arriving, tucked beneath a stack of old linens. You had shaken it gently, hearing the faint rustle of paper inside, letters you suspected, old letters, you had never opened it, a quiet respect for the privacy of whoever had left them there perhaps, or a reluctance to disturb a story that wasn't yours to read. And then there's the name, scratched faintly into the hull near the waterline in the forward berth. It's almost imperceptible, hidden by layers of paint and varnish, visible only when the light catches it just right, or when you run your fingers along the smooth curve of the wood. Not the Myra, another name, a softer name perhaps. You've always wondered about it, about the hands that scratched it there, the stories it held. Tonight, these quiet mysteries seem to gather around you, not with any sense of urgency or fear, but with a gentle persistence. They are like the whispers of the past, carried on the salt air, settling softly into the fabric of your present. Who was here before? What were their stories? Did they, too, find solace in this sheltered cove? You dip your brush into the water, rinsing away the last of the indigo. You mix a deeper, richer blue, adding a touch of umber to give it the weight of the night sky. The image of the light you saw on the island yesterday evening, the one that appeared and vanished, surfaces in your mind. It adds another quiet thread to the tapestry of unanswered questions. Walter had been so calm, so matter-of-fact when you mentioned it to him, almost as if he expected it, or knew something about it. You wonder if these small, unexplained things are connected. The crosses on the old chart, the letters in the rose tin, the names scratched into the hull, the fleeting light on the island. They are not dramatic secrets, but rather quiet echoes, lingering traces of lives lived in this very space, under these very stars. They give the Myra a depth, a history that predates your own arrival, a sense of being part of a longer, unfolding narrative. You lean back slightly, the paintbrush poised over the paper. The blue on the canvas deepens, mirroring the profound stillness outside. Chester, at the foot of your berth, lets out a soft sigh, his breathing even and deep. The rhythmic creak of the Myra, the gentle lapping of the water, the quiet hiss of the lamp, these are the sounds that cradle you in this moment. A wave of quiet wonder washes over you. This boat, this cove, this life you have built here, it is all steeped in a gentle mystery. It feels less like a beginning and more like a continuation, as if you have stepped into a story already in progress. It is a comforting thought, not unsettling. It means you are not alone, even in this quiet solitude. There are unseen presences, echoes of other lives, woven into the very wood of the Myra, into the very air of the cove. You decide you will ask Walter more about those who came before. Perhaps he knows. He always seems to know. He speaks in riddles sometimes, in quiet allusions, but you sense a deep well of knowledge within him. Maybe tomorrow, when you walk the path to his cottage, you will ask him directly. About the chart, about the name, about the possibility of others who found their way to this sheltered harbor. For now, you let the question hang, a soft thread in the quiet fabric of the evening. It is a gentle pull, a promise of a deeper understanding yet to come. You dip your brush again, adding a touch of brighter blue to the dark canvas, a hint of starlight beginning to emerge from the deepening night. The lamp casts long, dancing shadows, and the Myra rocks you gently, an ancient lullaby. The soft glow of the oil lamp inside the Myra casts a warm, inviting rectangle onto the dark water of the cove, a shimmering reflection that dances with the gentle motion of the boat. You watch it for a moment, a beacon in the deepening twilight, before your gaze drifts beyond its immediate reach, out into the vast, unfolding canvas of the night. It is fully dark now, the last whisper of the sun long vanished over the western horizon, leaving behind only the deep indigo of the sky, pricked by the first hesitant stars. A cool breath of air stirs through the open companionway, carrying with it the unmistakable scent of the sea, a bracing mix of salt and damp earth, of pine needles from the surrounding forest, and something else, something wild and untamed that speaks of distant currents and ancient shores. You can feel the slight chill on your skin, a pleasant contrast to the warmth radiating from the small cast iron stove that hums contentedly in the cabin. The sound of its gentle crackling is a soothing counterpoint to the quiet symphony of the cove. The Myra itself breathes around you, a living thing made of wood and sail. The hull creaks softly against its mooring lines, a rhythmic sigh that has become as familiar as your own heartbeat. Water laps with a whispering intimacy against the wooden planks below the waterline, a constant lullaby that has lulled you to sleep countless nights. Each gentle swell lifts and lowers the boat with an almost imperceptible motion, a slow, deliberate dance with the tide. You lift your head, listening. The wind has begun to pick up slightly, a soft sighing through the rigging overhead. It hums a low, resonant tune through the shrouds and stays, a melody of invisible forces at play. You imagine the mast swaying just so against the backdrop of the inky sky, tracing silent arcs that mirror the slow drift of the stars. Far off, from the depths of the old-growth forest that rings the cove, the hoot of a great horned owl echoes, a deep, resonant call that seems to carry for miles through the still air, a voice of the wild, ancient and profound. It is a sound that always brings a quiet sense of peace, a reminder of the enduring rhythms of this secluded world. Curiosity, a gentle pull in your chest, draws you from the warmth of the cabin. You step onto the deck, your bare feet meeting the cool, dew-kissed wood. The air here is crisper, more expansive. Above you, the sky has deepened to a velvet black, and now, countless stars have emerged, glittering like scattered diamonds on a dark cloth. They are so bright here, so numerous, without the competing glow of any distant town. You tilt your head back, letting your gaze wander through the constellations you know, tracing imaginary lines between them, finding comfort in their timeless patterns. The cove itself is a mirror now, reflecting the sky above. The surface of the water is a canvas of shifting light and shadow, where the distant stargems are replicated, their reflections elongated and softened by the gentle undulations. The dark shapes of the surrounding headland and the forest seem to press in, creating a sense of intimate enclosure, a sheltered hollow carved out of the vast wildness. Across the water, some 400 meters distant, lies the island. Its form is a deeper, denser black against the lighter darkness of the sky, a silent sentinel in the heart of the cove. You can almost feel its presence, a quiet power emanating from its ancient trees and rocky shores. You scan its outline, your eyes searching, almost unconsciously, for any glimmer, any flicker of light, remembering the faint, puzzling glow you saw just last night. Tonight, however, it remains shrouded in an impenetrable darkness, holding its secrets close. A low mist, like a soft, ethereal veil, has begun to form over the surface of the water, a delicate tendril reaching out from the edges of the forest. It clings close to the shoreline, a ghostly presence that softens the hard edges of the land, blurring the line between water and sky. You watch it grow, a slow, silent unfolding, knowing that by morning it may blanket the entire cove, muffling sounds and lending an even greater sense of isolation. You lean against the smooth, cool wood of the cabin, letting the quiet stillness of the night seep into you. A profound sense of belonging settles in your heart, a warmth that spreads through your limbs. This place, this boat, this life you have found here, it feels like coming home, even though it is so different from any home you have known before. There is a deep, abiding gratitude that wells up within you, not for any grand event or sudden joy, but for the simple, unhurried rhythm of your days. You think of the quiet mornings, the way the light spills into the cabin, painting patterns on the varnished teak. You think of the taste of your morning tea, warmed by the stove, and the comforting weight of Chester as he settles at your feet. You think of the easy conversations with Walter, his slow, thoughtful words that often carry more meaning than their surface suggests. You think of the long hours spent painting, the way the colors bloom on the paper, capturing the ever-changing light of the cove. There is a freedom here, a quiet spaciousness that allows your thoughts to unfurl, unhurried and unburdened. You are not striving for anything, not rushing anywhere. Each day is a gift, an opportunity to simply be present, to observe, to listen, to feel the pulse of the natural world around you. There is a deep peace in this surrender to the present moment, a feeling of being held by the vast, beautiful wildness of the coast. It is a life chosen, not stumbled upon, a deliberate turning away from a world that felt too loud, too fast, too demanding. Here on the Myra, in this sheltered cove, you have found a different kind of richness, a depth that comes from simplicity and silence. It is not a life without its small mysteries, the rolled chart, the tin of letters, the faint name on the hull, and now the inexplicable light on the island, but these are gentle curiosities, threads that weave themselves into the tapestry of your days, never threatening, always inviting a quiet contemplation. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the night wash over you, the creak of the hull, the lap of water, the distant owl, the whisper of the wind in the rigging. When you open them again, the stars seem even brighter, the mist a little thicker, the island a little more mysterious in its silent darkness. The sheer beauty of it all, the raw, untouched wildness, fills you with a quiet wonder. It is a feeling that is both expansive and deeply personal, a sense of being a small, yet integral part of something vast and ancient. You realize with a soft sigh that this is what it means to truly live, to feel the cold air on your face, to hear the sounds of the night, to breathe in the scent of the sea, and to know with a quiet certainty that you are exactly where you are meant to be. There is a sense of calm strength that settles within you, a quiet resilience forged in the solitude and beauty of this place. The small questions, the gentle threads of mystery, are not unsettling. Rather, they add a layer of texture to this peaceful existence, an invitation to a deeper looking, a more patient understanding. The memory of the island light, though absent tonight, lingers at the edges of your thoughts, a faint echo. What could it be? A passing boat, perhaps, or something else, something less easily explained. The question does not demand an answer, not tonight. It is enough to simply hold it, like a smooth, cool stone, turning it over in your mind. The night is full of such quiet questions, and the beauty of this life is that there is time, all the time in the world, to simply observe, to feel, to wonder. The answers you sense will unfold in their own time, like the mist across the water, slowly revealing what lies beneath. The last light of the day has long since faded beyond the western channel, leaving the cove in a deep, hushed twilight that slowly yields to the clarity of a moonless night. Inside the Myra, the cast-iron stove is a low, steady heartbeat, its warmth radiating gently through the small cabin. You watch the flickering dance of firelight through the mica window of the stove door, a hypnotic ballet of orange and red against the dark metal. The soft scent of alder smoke, sweet and clean, hangs subtly in the air, mingling with the deeper, more familiar aroma of old wood and salt that permeates the boat. Chester, a warm weight at the foot of your berth, begins to purr, a low rumble that vibrates through the wooden hull, a comforting, rhythmic counterpoint to the quiet crackle of the fire. His breathing is slow and deep, a picture of absolute contentment. You reach down, your fingers finding the soft, dense fur of his back, and he stretches languidly, pushing into your touch before settling back into his peaceful slumber. Outside, the water laps against the hull, a soft, insistent whisper that has been your lullaby for years. Each wave tells a slightly different story, a gentle sigh, a quiet murmur, a long, drawn-out sigh. You can almost feel the gentle rock of the boat, a subtle sway that becomes part of your own rhythm, an ancient, instinctual comfort. Through the small porthole above your berth, you can see a scattering of stars, impossibly bright against the velvet blackness of the sky. They seem to shimmer, to pulse with a silent energy that is both vast and intimately close. The Big Dipper is clear, its familiar shape a steady beacon, and beyond it, the faint, misty band of the Milky Way stretches across the heavens, a river of distant light. You pick up the well-worn copy of the book you've been reading, its pages soft beneath your fingertips. It's a collection of old seafaring tales of quiet voyages and distant shores, of the steadfastness of wooden boats and the enduring spirit of those who sailed them. The oil lamp hanging from its brass hook above the small folding table casts a warm, golden glow, illuminating the text without glare. The words on the page seem to slow, to expand, each sentence a small world to inhabit. You don't rush through them, but rather let them wash over you, their cadence and imagery painting quiet pictures in your mind. Sometimes you simply sit, the book resting unread in your lap, your gaze drifting from the fire to the porthole, from the sleeping cat to the familiar curve of the varnished teak. These are the hours when nothing happens, and that is precisely their beauty. There is no urgency here, no demand, no expectation. Only the slow unfolding of time, marked by the dying embers in the stove, the gentle rise and fall of your own breath, and the endless conversation of the sea. Earlier today, when you had walked the path up to Walter's cottage, he had been tending his small garden, his movements slow and deliberate. He had offered you a cup of steaming herbal tea, a blend of mint and something else you couldn't quite name, but which smelled of the forest floor after a spring rain. As you sat on his weathered porch, looking out over the cove, the subject of the island had come up. You had mentioned, casually, the way the light had seemed to shimmer there sometimes, a brief, almost imperceptible flicker. Walter had paused, his gnarled hands resting on his knees, his gaze distant. "Aye," he had said, his voice a low rumble. "The island has its own stories to tell. Some of them go back a long, long way." He had then fallen silent, his eyes fixed on the distant pines that crowned the island's highest point. He hadn't elaborated, hadn't offered any explanation for the light, and you hadn't pressed him, but his words had lingered, a quiet question mark in the stillness of the afternoon. The island has its own stories to tell. What stories, you wondered, and what did they have to do with those brief, inexplicable flashes of light you sometimes caught out of the corner of your eye? Now in the deep quiet of the cabin that thought returns, not with any sense of urgency or alarm, but as a small, polished stone in the palm of your mind. It's a curiosity, a gentle thread woven into the fabric of the night. You close your eyes for a moment, picturing the island in your mind's eye, its rocky shores, its dense, ancient forest, the narrow path you sometimes followed to its hidden interior. You remember the way the air feels there, thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, the way the sunlight filters through the canopy in dappled patterns, like stained glass. You open your eyes again, feeling the soft weight of Chester against your legs, the warmth of the cabin enveloping you. The stars through the porthole seem to twinkle with a renewed intensity, as if sharing a secret. The thought of the island, and Walter's quiet words, remains a soft presence at the edge of your awareness. You don't need to solve it, or even understand it fully, not now. It is enough to simply let it be, a quiet wonder in the vastness of the night. The fire in the stove is slowly diminishing, the embers glowing a softer, deeper red. The rhythmic sound of water against the hull seems to grow more pronounced as other sounds fade away, becoming the dominant presence in the cabin. It's a sound that has always brought you a profound sense of peace, a reminder of the Myra's steadfastness, of her gentle embrace. You feel a deep gratitude for this quiet life, for the simplicity and the beauty that surrounds you. For the shelter of the cove, for the ancient wisdom of the forest, for the steady companionship of Chester, and for the quiet, knowing presence of Walter. These are the anchors of your world, solid and true. You think of the rolled chart tucked beneath your berth, the one with the small pencil crosses. You haven't looked at it in a while, but you know it's there, another quiet mystery waiting for its moment. And the old tin with the letters you've never opened, and the faint names scratched into the hull. They are all part of the quiet tapestry of your life here, threads that connect you to something older, something unknown, something that whispers of other journeys, other stories. But for now, there is only the present moment, the soft glow of the lamp, the dying fire, the steady breath of the cat, and the gentle rock of the boat. The hours of nothing unfold, each one a gift, slowing down the world until it feels as though time itself has become liquid, flowing gently around you. You feel yourself drifting, a quiet current carrying you towards the deep, restorative sleep that awaits. The questions, the small curiosities, they will wait. They are patient. And tomorrow, perhaps, the morning light will bring a new perspective, a gentle nudge towards understanding. But for now, the quiet drift is enough. The subtle sense of the island's stories, like a distant echo, becomes part of the soft tapestry of your awareness, fading gently into the background as the world narrows to the berth, the warmth of the blanket, Chester's comforting weight, and the endless, soothing song of the water against the hull. The deep night has settled fully, wrapping the cove in a silence so profound it seems to hum. It is not an absence of sound, but rather a deepening of it, as if the world has lowered its voice to a whisper only the keenest ear can discern. The air, cool and damp, carries the distinct tang of salt and the fainter, earthy scent of wet fir needles from the surrounding forest. A delicate, luminous fog has begun to drift in from the channel, a soft, ethereal blanket that skims the surface of the water, obscuring the distant treeline and blurring the edges of the world. The Myra, your beloved wooden vessel, now rests with a quiet weight against the incoming tide, her hull making soft, almost imperceptible creaks as she settles deeper into the calm embrace of the cove. You watch as the fog slowly claims the view from your small portlight, transforming the familiar darkness outside into a shifting canvas of muted grays and whites. The world beyond your berth feels vast and unknowable, yet utterly peaceful. The gentle rocking of the Myra, once a subtle motion, now feels like the slow, steady breath of a sleeping giant. Each slight shift in her timbers, each soft groan of wood against wood, becomes a part of the night's quiet symphony. It is a lullaby crafted from the very essence of the sea and the old forest that holds this cove in its timeless embrace. You rise slowly from the small folding table where you had been sketching, the faint scent of charcoal still clinging to your fingertips. The oil lamp, turned low, casts a warm, honeyed glow across the varnished teak interior, creating long, dancing shadows that stretch and shrink with the Myra's gentle sway. You move with an unhurried grace that has become second nature to you in this small, contained world. Each step is deliberate, each action a quiet ritual performed under the watchful gaze of the night. Your first task is to tend to the cast iron stove. You open its small, hinged door, revealing the last embers of the day's fire, a deep orange heart beating softly within the black iron. With a small, well-worn poker, you carefully rake the glowing coals, pushing them to the back of the firebox. A faint hiss escapes as a wisp of smoke, thin and ethereal, curls into the air, carrying the warm, comforting scent of burning cedar and fir. You place a few larger, unburnt logs on top, positioning them carefully to ensure a slow, steady burn through the remaining hours of the night. The small iron grate clinks softly as you close the door, banking the fire against the encroaching chill of the fog. The warmth radiating from the stove is a steady, reassuring presence, a small sun in your intimate universe. Next, you gather the few ceramic dishes from your evening meal, their small blue flowers seeming to bloom in the lamplight. You carry them to the small galley sink, where a copper kettle, still warm from the stove, waits. A few drops of water, heated earlier, are enough to wash them clean. The soft clinking of ceramic against ceramic is a quiet, rhythmic sound in the stillness. You dry them carefully with a linen cloth, feeling the smooth coolness of the glazed surface beneath your fingertips, and return them to their dedicated spots in the small, built-in cupboard. Each item has its place, a sense of order that brings a quiet satisfaction. You glance towards the small portlight again, the fog now thick against the glass, creating a soft, milky glow. The world outside feels distant, muffled, as if wrapped in cotton. The air within the cabin, though warm from the stove, carries a subtle coolness that hints at the dampness outside, a freshness that invigorates even as it invites a deeper sense of coziness. Chester, who had been curled in a tight, orange ball on the small folding table, a silent sentinel to your movements, now stretches luxuriously. His front paws extend, claws sheathed, before he arches his back in a long, elegant curve. A soft, rumbling purr begins deep in his chest, a sound so low it vibrates through the very air of the cabin. He jumps down with a soft thud, his movements fluid and unhurried, and weaves himself around your ankles, his tail brushing lightly against your bare skin. You reach down to stroke his soft fur, feeling the warmth of his body and the steady thrum of his purr beneath your hand. He leans into your touch for a moment, then, with a quiet dignity, moves towards the bow, his preferred sleeping spot at the foot of your berth. You follow him, stepping carefully over the small threshold into the sleeping quarter. The narrow berth, built snugly into the hull, beckons with its promise of warmth and stillness. You smooth the thick wool blanket, feeling the comforting weight of the fabric beneath your hands. The small space is filled with the faint, pleasant scent of cedar from the hull and the subtle, clean aroma of freshly laundered linen. Before settling in, you perform the small rituals that prepare the space for sleep. You fold the day's clothes, placing them neatly on a small shelf above the berth. The book you were reading, its pages worn soft from many hands, is closed and placed beside the small, built-in bookshelf. You run your hand over the spines of the other books, feeling the textures of cloth and leather, a silent acknowledgement of the quiet company they keep. The sounds of the Myra, so familiar, now seem to amplify in the deep quiet. The gentle lapping of water against the hull becomes a soft, rhythmic whisper, a constant, reassuring presence just inches from your head. It is the sound of the world breathing, a deep, slow inhalation and exhalation that mirrors your own. The wind, if there is any, is a mere sigh in the rigging, a faint, almost inaudible whistle that suggests the vastness of the unseen world beyond the narrow channel. But tonight, even that seems to have hushed. You turn your attention to the oil lamp. With a slow, deliberate motion, you reach for the small brass knob at its base. The flame, which had been a steady, bright beacon, now dims with each turn, shrinking from a vibrant glow to a tiny, flickering ember. The shadows in the cabin deepen, growing longer and softer, until they merge into a rich, velvety darkness. The air, though still holding the lingering warmth from the stove, begins to feel crisper, carrying the subtle coolness that always accompanies the deepest hours of the night. Finally, the lamp is extinguished. The last vestiges of light vanish, plunging the cabin into a profound darkness. For a moment, your eyes struggle to adjust, seeing only the faint, ghostly outlines of the portlight where the fog holds its dominion. But soon, even that fades, and the darkness becomes complete, a soft, enveloping blanket that soothes the senses. You slip into the berth, the mattress yielding gently beneath your weight. The wool blanket, cool against your skin for a moment, quickly warms, molding itself to your form. Chester, already settled at the foot of the berth, shifts slightly, his purr a low, steady rumble that vibrates through the mattress, a living, breathing warmth against your feet. You can feel the quiet weight of him, a comforting presence in the darkness. You lie on your back, staring up at the unseen ceiling, listening. The gentle creak of the Myra settling becomes more pronounced now, a chorus of soft groans and sighs from the old wood. Each sound tells a story of the vessel, of her long years on the water, of the constant dance between wood and wave. The water against the hull is a continuous soft murmur, a lullaby without end. The air in the berth, though confined, feels fresh and clean, carrying the faint, sweet scent of the sea and the reassuring smell of old wood. You close your eyes, but the darkness behind your eyelids is no different from the darkness in the cabin. Your other senses awaken, sharpened by the absence of sight. You feel the gentle, almost imperceptible sway of the Myra, a slow, hypnotic rhythm that cradles you. Your thoughts, which had been quiet and contained throughout the day, now begin to drift, unanchored, through the still waters of your mind. The image of the light on the island returns, a faint, almost shimmering memory in the fog-bound darkness. It had been so distinct, so unexpected. You wonder again about its source, its purpose. Was it a trick of the fog, a reflection of the moon, or something else entirely? The question hangs in the quiet air, not with urgency, but with a soft, lingering curiosity. You had planned to ask Walter about it, to see if he knew anything of lights on the island, but the day had unfolded with its own gentle rhythm, and the moment had not presented itself. Now, in the deep silence of the night, the question feels like a loose thread, waiting to be gently tugged. You turn onto your side, pulling the blanket closer, feeling the secure embrace of the narrow berth. The warmth of Chester at your feet is a solid, reassuring anchor in the shifting darkness. You listen to the sounds of the night, the soft lapping of water, the distant, almost imagined sigh of the wind in the unseen trees, the deep, resonant creaks of the Myra, each one a unique voice in the chorus of the cove. The fog outside holds the world in its soft embrace, muffling any distant sounds, creating a cocoon of silence around the Myra. It is a protective stillness, a gentle barrier between you and the wider world. You feel held, suspended in this quiet moment, adrift on the edge of sleep. The unanswered question about the light on the island remains, a faint whisper in the quiet corners of your mind, a gentle invitation to return to the day tomorrow, to seek its subtle truth. The soft weight of the wool blanket settles over you, a familiar comfort that shapes itself to your body, holding the day's warmth close. You shift just slightly, finding the perfect hollow in the mattress, and the gentle creak of the Myra's timbers answers with a sigh. The air in the berth is cool against your cheek, a subtle counterpoint to the deep, lingering warmth beneath the covers. It carries the faint, sweet scent of salt from the open hatch, mingled with the dry, comforting aroma of cedar from the hull and the last whisper of wood smoke from the cast iron stove. The fire, now reduced to a few glowing embers, casts a warm, pulsing orange light that dances briefly on the varnished teak of the cabin walls before fading into near darkness. Chester, a warm, solid weight at the foot of your berth, stirs. You feel the faint vibration of his purr begin, a low, rhythmic thrum against the mattress that resonates through you. It is a sound as old and comforting as the tide, a steady beat in the quiet night. His breathing is even, a soft rise and fall that mirrors your own. You can feel the warmth radiating from his compact form, a small furnace of peace in the dim space. Outside, the cove is utterly still. The faintest, most delicate sound of water laps against the Myra's wooden hull, a soft, rhythmic kiss that tells of the gentle ebb and flow of the unseen tide. It is a lullaby, ancient and constant, a whisper against the silence that holds the entire world in its embrace. The oil lamp, turned low, casts a final, trembling flicker before the flame seems to shrink, a tiny star winking out, leaving only the memory of light. Now the world narrows to the intimate darkness of the berth, the faint, comforting scent of wood and salt, and the gentle, almost imperceptible sway of the boat. You are held in this stillness, suspended between the day that has just passed and the night that deepens around you. The sounds become softer, more distant. The faint creak of the mast, a whisper of wind through the rigging, no longer distinct but part of a larger, soothing hum. Your breath deepens, slowing with each exhale, a quiet surrender. The warmth of the blanket envelops you completely, a cocoon of peace. Chester's purr continues, a continuous, soft vibration that seems to lull the very air around you. The water whispers against the hull, a ceaseless, gentle murmur. Whisper, whisper, rock, rock. You are drifting, held. The thoughts of the day, like small birds, settle one by one onto their branches, their wings folded. The quiet conversation with Walter, the taste of the warm tea, the feel of the cool rope in your hands as you secured the dinghy. These small moments, cherished and complete, now recede, becoming soft impressions at the edges of your awareness. The boat rocks, a gentle, cradling motion. Rock, rock. The water whispers, a soft, hushed sound. Whisper, whisper. The darkness is complete now, a velvet embrace that soothes your eyes. You feel the weight of your own body, heavy and warm, sinking deeper into the mattress. Chester's warmth at your feet is a steady anchor in the soft current of approaching sleep. Purr, purr. The air is cool, then warm, then cool again, a slow, gentle breath. The Myra breathes with you, a living thing, familiar and protective. You recall the way the light played on the surface of the water earlier, a million tiny diamonds dancing as the sun began its descent. Diamonds dancing. The memory is soft, shimmering like a half-forgotten dream. Then it fades, replaced by the deep, pervasive stillness. Stillness, stillness. The scent of salt, wood smoke, and a hint of damp earth from the forest path you walked this afternoon. Earth-forest path. The sounds become one continuous hum, a quiet orchestra of the night. The creak, the whisper, the purr, all one, all soothing. You are floating, effortless. The Myra is a cradle, the cove a vast, dark chamber, and you are held within it, safe and warm. The light on the island, the one you saw and then did not see, drifts into your mind. A soft question without urgency. A flicker, a memory of a flicker. Then it too dissolves into the gathering mist of sleep. The warmth beneath the blanket spreads, a comforting tide flowing through your limbs. Your fingers, curled loosely, feel the soft texture of the wool. Your eyelids are heavy, so heavy. The silence deepens, a vast, encompassing quiet broken only by the steady rhythm of your own breath and the subtle hum of the boat. The day folds itself shut, like the cover of a beloved book. The last page turned, the story complete for now. You are at peace, utterly at peace. A deep sigh escapes you, a gentle release of all the day's small tasks and thoughts. The question about the island light, still unanswered, becomes a soft, rounded pebble at the edge of your mind. You will ask Walter tomorrow, you think. Yes, tomorrow. A quiet thought, a promise to the coming day, a gentle thread leading you forward. And then the thought itself unravels, dissolving into the welcoming, soft dark. You drift, held into the deep, quiet sleep, carried by the gentle breath of the Myra and the endless, whispering water.
This is the end of today's episode. Did you listen to the whole story? Share your experience in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to The Quiet Drift. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.